Shalom. First thing and foremost, I want to give all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone and rule well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect. Northern and gospel broad lifting up the standard of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, wherever it may be. This is another lesson through the Spirit. You see Monkey Boy Obama appears on Michelle Obama's podcast and say that a father is not enough and boys need gay men in their lives. Like, what kind of sense does that make? And see, this is the ideal that these elites push on our people. Hence, putting Jake in these awkward positions to fail. Now, when you look at this guy, Barack Obama, he studied under this guy by the name of Brzezinski Zelinsky, which is basically a Marxist. Okay, he studied under the tenets of this guy, I think his name was Proudhon or something like that. He goes back into like the Jesuit order, and he studied under the lines with Karl Marx, and Karl Marx was a known Satanist because he grew up. I think he grew up like as a Protestant, if I'm not mistaken, and then I believe in his early 20s, what happened was that he was exposed to teachings about the occult and Satanism, and his whole ordeal ever since, which is the ideology that's pushed on our people today, is Marxism, which is Satanism, which is basically to create a world without the need of a God and to pretty much do as thou wilt. And this guy, Barack Obama, studied under Brzezinski Zelinsky, which was, he was part of the, what's this guy's name? Not Nixon, but he's part of the, I think it'll come back to me in a minute. No, President Jimmy Carter. He was under his administration, and I believe he was like in tandem with like the particular, not the Secretary of Defense, but he had high ties to government, and he was a known Jesuit and a Marxist and a Satanist. So what are the chances that you got this guy by the name of Obama that has been bred under this guy Zelinsky, or Brzezinski Zelinsky, however you pronounce the devil's name, and years later he becomes president of the United States, and he was like the first openly gay president. Which that was speculations on him being gay, but we got evidence on that. By me being from Chicago, I know a little history on this guy and how he used to be on the north side of Chicago with the gay people and with the trannies and shit. And he used to deal with this guy by the name of Donald, which was a notable choir director in the Trinity United Church of Christ. And when they was going to expose the information about Barack being a mole, Donald ended up dead. And there's other stories about that too, but it's not really important. But I do know for a fact this man is a Mo. So for him to say something like this proves that he does not have the best interest of the Negro, Latino, and Native American. And his whole ordeal, right along with this system, is to destroy the Israelite man, the boy, because as if Jake don't have enough problems in their lives today with growing up in single parent households under the black woman and being exposed to gang culture and violence and emotional instability and not being emotionally aware of their masculinity. You have a bunch of beta male cucks and simps and gangbangers and overly aggressive men that just lashing out because their emotions are misplaced. They don't know how to be men. And then you got this man, this monkey boy, telling us that we have to grow up under gay men. Like, what's the need of a gay man if you have a stable woman in your life? And not saying gay men are stable, because gay man is essentially a fucking woman. But why do you need a gay man in your life if you have father and mother that's on one accord? All right, doesn't make any sense, right? But anyway, let's get a quick precept here. This is the book of Sirach. Matter of fact, let's do this, Sirach 3. And the family, like Karl Marx, like he had, I think his daughter, his granddaughter, or his wives, or he had his daughters and his sons and shit. They had his grandkids. A lot of them died. Some of them committed suicide, and his own wife wanted to commit suicide because she realized how big of a devil this dude is. He was hell bent on destroying the family. And Barack Obama, he comes from that line of Marxists. You see, so to destroy the family unit has always been the agenda of these elites, because the family unions are strong. The scriptures say, how can you overthrow the strong man except you bind him first? And their whole mission was to overthrow the Israelite man and get his presence out of the homes. So therefore, our children and our women could become vulnerable. And that's how you do it. It's called the art of war. You take out the threat, which is the men, and then you got the spoils, which is the women and the kids. Okay, as a common factor or benefactor of war, slaying a tribe of men and saving the women and kids for yourselves, and oftentimes killing the kids, man, or raising the kids up to be slaves. All right, so this is the book of Sirach 3, and I'm going to start at 1. It says, "Hear me, your father, O children, and do thereafter that ye may be safe." It says, "For the Lord hath given the father honor over the children, and have confirmed the authority of the mother over the son." So where in the scriptures does it say that you need a third will in that? Yeah, now true, it takes a village to raise a kid, but even then, within that village, you have a form of hierarchy of a patriarch that governs the family and the family affairs and make decisions and dictations over the lives, man. But now you have what they call a matriarch, which is specifically designed to destroy the men and destroy the women and kids. And this is the reason why the black or the Israelite communities are totally out of whack, because there's a matriarch. There's a matriarchal agreement that was in place to do away with the men. And this is why our men grow up being homosexuals, man. You know, black woman allowing her sons to put on high heels and wigs and shit. Like, when I think about it, man, you know, my mother, she used to do that, like my little brother and shit. He used to walk around. You know, I always been suspected about that dude, man. You know, we never, like, you know, he's my brother. I love him and shit like that, you know. And when he was born, I was happy to have a little brother. But as he got like older in age, 2, 3, I never understood why I had a total discontent towards him. You know, they say, well, it was sibling rivalry. You being the middle child, you stuck in the middle. The older kid gets the attention, and the younger kid is the baby, and the middle kid oftentimes gets shitted on. And it seems like that at face value, but it was a spiritual understanding or a spiritual insight that was going on. And the reality of it is, me and him, we were from 2 different fathers, which is typical among the black woman. All right, but we were from 2 different fathers, and he just had a fucking weird spirit on him. You know, and over time I tried to love him, and I look back on him like, damn, I wasn't really nice to my little brother like that. And I did love him, you know, because, you know, shit, he was cool. But even then, it was a reason why I didn't gravitate towards him. And when I reflect on it today, you know, he's made a lot of unwise choices in his life, and, you know, he doesn't know what he wants to be. I'll put it to you that way. So we don't talk. But I remember as a child, this little nigga used to be putting on the high heels, and he was putting on my mother's wigs and all this other shit. And back in my mind, I'm like, what's up with this picture? You know? And it becomes quite the norm. Jake's trying on their mother's outfits and shit. Like, that's not normal. That's why it says here, "Whoso honored his father maketh an atonement for his sins. And he that honored his mother is as one that layeth up treasures," man. All right? But it says, "But whosoever honoreth his father shall have joy of his own children. And when he maketh his prayer, he should be heard." All right? So anyway, let's play this video and see what this monkey is talking about. All right? Because he's a fucking homosexual anyway. And information came out that Michelle Obama is Michael Obama. Now, while that's still up for debate, most people speculate, and the information was out there, that it's possibly that this is a man. Okay, so he's married to a man. So, of course, he can say some madness like that. But here we go.
That's one of the things that I think a lot of times boys need, is not just exposure to one guy.
Mm-hmm. One dad.
One dad. No matter how good the dad
is. He can't be everything.
He can't be everything. And then that boy may need somebody to give the boy some perspective on the dad.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
One of the most valuable things I learned as a guy was I had a gay professor in college at a time when openly gay folks still weren't out of line, who became one of my favorite professors and was a great guy and would call me out when I started saying stuff that...
It makes sense. You had a gay professor because you won. You know, you're a freaking Mo. You know, and it makes all the sense in the world as to why this guy is the way he is and why he's pushed this shit. Because you notice they had what they call "Don't Ask, Don't Tell," and on his watch, that's when trainings was basically open to be in the military. You know, they had an open "Don't Ask, Don't Tell," but trainees, they was getting the changes. You know, they go to the military and they would join the military because they can get the changes for free. You know, the extremity changes, I call it. And the rest is history, man. You know, and that's what this guy was promoting. All right, and then you had the Biden administration, which took it to a whole nother level because the Biden administration was nothing more but an extension of the Obama administration, if you may understand that. Give me 1 second, Salaki.
Was ignorant. You need that to show empathy and kindness. And by the way, you need that person in your friend group so that if you then have a boy who's gay or non-binary or what have you, they have somebody that they can go, okay, I'm not alone in this.
Yeah.
Right? So and that's one of the things that I think.
Yeah, and this is what Monkey Boy is promoting on our people, man. You know, this is why the black woman worshipped Obama. Like when that dude won the selection back in 2008, I mean, Chicago was like literally like you thought they was preparing for the second coming of Yahushua, man. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it was that goddamn bad. And most people that voted for him was fucking gays and gays and black women. All right. The only reason why the black men went down to vote is because they women, you know, drug them to vote for Obama because they thought he was the first black president. Obama was not black. Obama is a Kenyan. He's a Hamite. You know what I'm saying? And low key, he may be a fucking Amalekite, man, if you be honest with you, because he's a little bit more eloquent to be a Hamite. But then, you know, he was bred up in the American system and he went to school, all that other shit. And, you know, he was handpicked. He was bred by these people, you see? So that's why it makes all the sense in the world why he's pushing this madness. And it says here, he that feared Yahweh will honor his father and will do service unto his parents as to his masters, but honor thy father and mother in word and deed, that a blessing may come upon them from them. The point is, I wanted to go to verse 9. I should have just jumped to verse 9. But it says, for the blessing of the father established the houses of children, but the curse of the mother rooted out foundation. So you don't need a mo in the midst of your affairs, man, because that brings confusion. Okay, I got a straight father, I got a mother, and then all of a sudden I got a mo that's in the midst of it. Like, you don't need no fucking, those people is not supposed to even exist, man. Okay, the scriptures say that you have to put evil from among you, so you're not supposed to be having moles around you, man. Moles are supposed to be destroyed. You know, because that's in the scriptures. So Obama is a super demon. You know? So let's go back and listen to it again.
Need is not just exposure to one guy.
One dad.
One dad. No matter how good the dad
is. He can't be
like
everything.
He can't be everything. And then that boy may need somebody to give the boy some perspective on the dad.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
One of the most valuable things I learned as a guy was I had a gay professor in college at a time when openly gay folks still weren't out of line, who became one of my favorite professors and was a great guy and would call me out when I started saying stuff that was ignorant. You need that to show empathy and kindness. And by the way, you need that person in your friend group so that if you then have a boy who's gay or non-binary or whatever, they have somebody that they can go, okay, I'm not alone in this.
Yeah.
Right? So
that's freaking madness, man. That's madness. Like, that's straight madness. Like, what the hell do I need a mo in my son's life for? For what? That's off as hell, and that's wickedness, and that's the shit the black woman push, man. That's when you got that whole, well, I got two fathers, I got two mothers. Totally fuck up the kid's head, man. And that's what this fucking wicked society pushing. This is why the Most High is getting ready to destroy this goddamn place, man. And deservingly so. This place needs nothing less than fire. And I can't wait, man. Pisses me off. Leviticus 20:13, it says, if a man lie with mankind as he lied with the woman, both of them have committed an abomination, and they shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them. Okay, you should surely be put to death. if you deal with a man, if a man deal with a man, and a woman deal with a woman, you will surely be put to death, okay? Now, because the scriptures say, because the law is slack, unrighteous judgment go forth. Therefore, the law is slack, because we got leaders in place that pushes this type of rhetoric, man, on our people. All right? So I can wash my hands. Push that rhetoric on our people. And this is why Jake is, like the scriptures go into how the daughter of Zion is like a cucumber, like a field, like in a field of cucumbers, roughly paraphrasing. Yeah, we surrounded by wickedness, man. This is why the black man is so emotionally unstable. Like, you can't even argue with a Jake without it going left. If you have an open discussion with a nigga, he gonna want to fight you or he gonna want to shoot you. Okay, there's no extreme. It's either it's two extremes. Either it's gonna go there or it's not. There's no middle ground when it comes to dealing with these Jakes, man. They're very emotional. They're highly sensitive. You can't talk to them. You can't give them any advice, and that comes from growing up with the woman, because the woman pushed these type of mentality, or she pushed this mentality on her sons, man. Isaiah 3, and I'm gonna start at verses 9. It says, "The sure they counted up witness against them, and they declared their sin is Sodom, and they hide it not. But woe unto their souls, for they have rewarded evil unto themselves." Yeah, man, because eventually the Most High is just gonna say, you know what, enough is enough, and he's just gonna send the missiles over here, man. Okay, which Lord's will, because depending on how quick they pass this chip, if this chip become mandatory by the end of the year, Lord's will, hey man, we can be out of here next year. Just when they decide to push this MOTB, because they're taking all day. Okay, Trump signed stable coins into law, I believe, which is going to be a effect on the dollar, because eventually the dollar just going to collapse, and that's why he's securing shit with stable coin. But even then, it's just like a long drawn out process. Like, how long is it going to take for this shit to fall? Okay, the sins have already reached up into heaven. They've already committed every atrocity under the sun. They defied the Most High. They took us, they're destroying the earth, and just like this, it's like they're getting away with it, man. And they're not getting away with it, essentially, but you get the point. All right, how long is he going to take to pass this chip? Because everything is already in play. Let's just get this shit on and popping already. Tired of waiting. But it says here, "Say ye to the righteous that it should be well with him, for they should eat the fruit of their doings. But warn to the wicked, it should be ill with him, for the reward of his hand should be given him." That's right. And the reward is going to be judgment. Nuclear fire, man. All right, one precept, and this is why they hate us. This is why they hate the men so much, man, because the Israelite man is supposed to be the backbone and the pillar of his family. But see, in this world, they teach you that a man that's on his shit, or a man that puts his foot down, is oftentimes aggressive. He's abusive. He's a lion in his house. He's too harsh. He's too strict. But those are the kind of fathers you need, because they do away with the wickedness that we see. Okay, like if we had fathers and stable mothers that allowed the fathers to father without putting the system on them and trying to control the man, you wouldn't have YNs out here. Okay, you won't have a bunch of Pushishis out here. And clearly the result that they're going for isn't working. Well, it's working for them, but not us. Because clearly their pushing of Marxism on our people is totally having the effect of destruction. Because look at Jake, man. Jake just got like it was a 15-year-old, 16-year-old, and a 17-year-old boy. 2 girls and 1 boy that got arrested for breaking in an 81-year-old lady's house and beating her to death and robbing her house, bro. Okay, that wouldn't happen if you had stable fathers and stable mothers, man. And like we say, the black woman creates deadbeat fathers, man. Because they throw the father out to get the assistance, or the father's around, she puts hell on the dude to the point he can't take it anymore, because he feels like he has no say-so over the kid without a fucking argument. And that's usually how it happens. So he leaves either way, which is all set up by design. Poison a woman, and then eventually the man will go away. Sirach 30:1, it says, "He that loveth his son calls him off to fill the rod, that he may have joy over him in the end." So yeah, you got to constantly put, discipline on your kids. It says, "He that chastiseth his son shall have joy in him, and shall rejoice of him among his acquaintance." The point, "He that teacheth his son grieveth the enemy, and before his friend he shall rejoice in him." That's right, man. So we taught our kids this. It grieves these people, because they don't want us growing up being righteous. And they don't want us growing up being in a probable society, and the men standing up to face adversity. They want to keep us weak so they can continue to put us under. You know, because that's the whole thing of the so-called white man keeping us down. And it says, though his father died, yet he is as though we, it says, though he were not dead, for he have left one behind that is like himself, you know. So they got the term, oh boy, you just like your father, you know, like all noble and being up and noble. Like a good example of that was on DBZ, The Future of Trunks. This is basically before Trunks went back to the past to change the future. And Goku died from a heart virus when Gohan got older. You know, he was in his father's footsteps, man. He sounded like him, he looked like him, he fought like him. You know, I mean, and the lady said it. She said, hey, you might be just like your father, you know, because Goku was a noble warrior, and Gohan, the future Gohan, the real warrior, not the soft nigga. But you know, he had that strong Saiyan pride like Goku did. You know, well, you know, like the Saiyan supposed to, because Goku was a goofy at times, but you get the point. You know, he had a task to mention, and he was Earth's only hope. So you want that. But anyway, I'm gonna end it giving all praises and glory and honor that's due to you. How about Shem How Shai? Lord's will you are edified. Until the next lesson. Shalom.